Musical Medicine for Wellness Practitioners, a 6-week online program bridging sound healing, music therapy, and musical neuroscience. My name is Daniel Morrow, and I wanted to overview an online program I'm offering. It's all about the science of musical medicine. We'll be exploring 6 different dimensions of sound and music healing, starting with the first session, the vibrational universe. We can also describe this as the harmonic or rhythmic universe. We're going to be talking about the divine logos and its connection to primordial sound as it relates to various spiritual and mystical traditions, and talking about a guy named Pythagoras in Greek times and the harmony of the spheres, and looking at the mathematics of not only our solar system but the very universe itself. And that relates to the musical mathematical matrix, so-called by Len Horowitz, and he describes the solfeggio scale, which frequencies are found actually in the Bible. We'll talk about the A440 standard orchestral tuning and why that might not be the best for the human instrument. That brings us to modern day physics, quantum physics and string theory, and the vibrational nature of matter. The ancients understood a lot about the healing powers of sound and music, so we'll be looking at 3 cultures in particular: India, Greece, and China. And that bridges us to modern day music therapy in the 19th and 20th century. You see, sound and musical medicine was predicted to be the healing modality of the 21st century by people like Edgar Cayce. Then in module number 2, we're going to be getting into some of the basic sound healing principles that underlie most of what we call sound healing, as well as music therapy, and some of the principles I'll be talking about associated with the musical brain and how music impacts your brain in so many different ways. So we want to begin just examining very briefly the ear as transducer, a magnificent, complex, sophisticated instrument that's the beginning point of translating sound and music to signals that our brain can understand and we perceive consciously. So we want to understand what is frequency, what is vibration, what is energy, how do they all relate? And the healing process itself has to do with a handful of basic principles. One of them is resonance, and the other is entrainment. They're similar but not exactly the same. What are the basic sound healing instruments that are used? We look at tuning forks, crystals, the shakuhachi flute, the harp. And then there's various sound healing technologies that have been developed in the world of sound healing and musical medicine. Sound tables in particular are amazing illustrations of what you can do with sound and technology. And then we look at a few modern day approaches. We'll look at Takatina, music thanatology, the work of Don Campbell and also Fabien Mamon. So that wraps up module number 2. Module number 3. We're going to be talking about something called brainwave entrainment. You may have heard of the different brainwaves, beta, alpha, and so forth. There are many different brainwaves, and they relate and correlate to different states of consciousness. So we'll be talking about what is cycles per second and hertz, how does it relate to cognition and consciousness, and what are the basic entrainment principles that are being used today to entrain the brain using not only music but simple sounds, binaural sounds, pulsed sounds, frequency modulated music, audio entrainment applications. People like Tom Kenyon, Jeffrey Thompson have developed some pretty amazing brainwave entrainment audio applications. We also see that some classical and Baroque music can naturally entrain the brain because of the properties of the music. It naturally creates alpha brainwaves, Baroque music in particular. So that can be used for healing and accelerated learning and many other applications. So that brings us then to module number 4. I call this tuning your musical brain. So we start out the very beginning, infants and musical predispositions. Actually, we'll be going even further back in time to prenatal properties and how the fetus is actually beginning to appreciate sound 5 months in. So we're born with musical predispositions, innate abilities to understand rhythm, harmony, and melody, consonance, dissonance. And so we can see the human body is actually likened to a musical instrument with its various bodily rhythms, brainwave frequencies, vibrational signatures in the molecules associated with the various organs. I want to talk about the relationship between music and emotions and physiology and how they highly correlate. A music-brain mapping. So we're going to look at the widely distributed features and properties of music in the brain, how it is processed in very complex ways in the brain, and how it's taken up by many distinct, unique processing centers because it literally lights up almost all of the brain. We want to talk about something called the Mozart effect, what's right about it, what's been distorted about that musical phenomenon relating music and spatial temporal reasoning, and look deeper at some of the neurological imaging studies beyond behavioral studies of the Mozart effect, where we find some very interesting evidence about the healing and balancing power of music is looking at neurological disorders and how various sound and music-based therapies have been used to reduce symptoms of disorders as wide spectrum as Alzheimer's, epilepsy, Broca's aphasia, Parkinson's, and even autism. And then finally, we look at some practical hands-on tools, at least 7 different roles or functions of music to tune your brain, mind, and body. So that brings us to module number 5. So we're still talking about music, but now we're bridging music, mind, and matter, and starting out with the mineral kingdom, looking at the science of somatics, or how frequencies can create geometries in matter. Then we move on to cellular structures, how simple sound sequences, and scales affect cells, and how cancer cells can actually be destroyed with particular sounds that leave healthy hemoglobin cells intact. We see this with DNA as well. So there are these mathematical musical vibrations programmed into our very DNA. So we're going to be looking also at the plant kingdom and how music has been used to favorably impact plants. And then we look at, of course, animals. Rodents versus dolphins and whales and cetaceans and birds, and how various animal species in the animal kingdom demonstrate sensitivities to the realms of music and sound, and also how they produce various sound structures that relate to modern Western musical scales and properties. So that bridges music, mind, and matter, so we can actually impact inert matter with sound, going all the way from the plant kingdom to the animal kingdom to the human kingdom. And that brings us to our last module of this online program, and that is your vocal instrument. So we looked at the various devices and tools and instruments that can be used as sound healing devices. That was all the way back in module 2. But the most powerful instrument that we know of on this planet would be your voice. But it has to be honed, it has to be developed. You have to understand what are the ingredients of the voice, and how can your voice be used as a healing instrument? How does the voice relate to consciousness and the voice as a carrier of consciousness? So we'll look at vocal toning, we'll look at vocal harmonics and the various tiny frequencies in the voice that can be expanded and accentuated. So that will wrap up the 6th and final module of this program. And then you have a good starting point, a good basis, whether you're using this personally in your own life, or you are a health and wellness practitioner, a healer, a yoga instructor, meditation teacher, a sound healer, musician. We want to bring some of the basic elements, principles, and properties of both sound healing, musical healing, and music and brain to bear on your own personal practice and your healing practice as well. Hope you enjoyed this little overview. Thanks very much. Sound blessings to you. So there you have it, an overview of this 6-week online program, Musical Medicine for Wellness Practitioners. So I'm just going to quickly repeat those 6 modules again. We've got module number 1, the vibrational universe. Module number 2, sound healing principles. Module number 3, brainwave entrainment. Module number 4, tuning your musical brain. Module number 5, music, mind, and matter. And module number 6, your vocal instrument. So I'd like to tell you about the logistics, scheduling, and the cost of this program. So we've got the 6 modules, as I've mentioned. They're going to be offered on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be starting on December 10th followed by second session on December 17th, taking a 2-week break during the holiday seasons and starting back up in the new year on January 7th and moving through the next 4 modules until January 28th. So it'll be similar type of content with dynamic slides, graphics, visuals, and a background sound when it's appropriate. I like these sessions to be fairly interactive, so I stop and take polls. You can chat live, offer your comments, and also you can ask questions directly to me. Now there will be replays of the live sessions. Following the live session, you have 7 days to see that session, either to review it, or if you've missed the live session, you get a chance to see the actual replica replay. That means it's going to be not just a YouTube video, but everything that happened during the live session is perfectly recorded, including the chat and comments from participants and so forth. This course is the kind of course that I normally charge $300 or more for, although I have taught similar content to high school students in the public in anywhere from 1-day to 5-day intensives. This is going to be available for $147 until December 7th, and then it goes up to $244. You can register at the website listed here, speakingvisionaries.com. So look forward to having you. If you've got any questions, send them to me, Daniel, at brainhealth@cgocable.ca. I'll repeat that, brainhealth, all one word, at CG as in go, O as in octave, cable, CABLE.ca. So thanks so much, and look forward to having you on board for our 6-week online series called Musical Medicine for Health and Wellness Practitioners.